Hey everyone, thank you for downloading the Retro Gamers podcast. This week, Larry here.
And Anthony here.
How you doing? There you go. Get a little J-pop going for certain reasons.
And for good reason.
And why do you have the J-pop blasting on this episode?
Well, the J-pop is blasting because I am coming to you from Tokyo, Japan.
There you go, live from Tokyo. Oh, man, the jet setter that Anthony has been the last few months.
Yes, I don't think I've been in Los Angeles for more than a week.
Wow.
Since like January.
Holy cow. Yeah, this is like, what, your third trip over there?
Fourth.
Fourth? Oh, even I'm losing track. Okay.
Yes, there's one in December, one in January, one in February.
That's right, yeah. It is an extended one, too. You're going to be there for a little while.
Yeah, I am, what am I, 5 days into a 2.5 week trip.
Nice. Holy cow. And that's pretty sweet. You know, it's fun. Let's see. Now, you claim to be there for work reasons, but we all know you're there. First trip around, you got the NES Classic Family Edition, the mini Famicom, if you will.
Yes, I got lucky.
And then the second time was, again, claiming for work. We all know you were there for the Retro Gamers to scope out any retro stores, Japanese retro stores.
Yes, of course. You know, I mean, my job, who sends me here, comes first.
Of course.
But when you know, and I have to say that, of course.
Of course, for legal reasons.
Yes, and I mean every word of it. I swear. But yes, the secondary reason, of course, is since this is the birthplace of many of our video games.
Almost
systems,
everything that we're talking about. Yeah.
Yep. So my secondary thing is to serve the retro gamers in the best way I possibly can by, trying to seek out some interesting retro game info out here.
There we go. And but now you're in Tokyo right now, but you were in another city previously. So Tokyo is the hub. You know what I mean? Tokyo is the Times Square, if you will. No offense, LA, but the New York City of Japan. And I imagine, have you been to Tokyo long today? Or tonight, or
no,
what day is it? Is it April over there?
What?
like what, the time zone? I'm trying to figure out the time difference.
The time difference from Eastern Standard Time is I am 14 hours ahead of you.
That boggles my mind. I think we're both in Saturday. We're recording this on a Saturday, so I think we're both on the same day.
Yes, it is currently the same day for us at the moment. In a couple of hours, though, it will be Sunday.
So before, in the city that you were in before, just, I guess, not heavy with Osaka?
Osaka.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I was in Osaka.
Wasn't much to do there, I think, as far as probably anything. Stuff to do, but, Tokyo, forget it. I mean, you get lost in Tokyo.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff here. I actually have a friend of mine who was here, I think, in October, November. My friend Fernie, who you met at Barcade.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So my friend Fernie was here in November, and he gave me like a whole list of things to do here when I come to Tokyo. Of course, I'm only here for like 4 days, and 2 of those days I'll be working.
All right. Well.
So basically, I had half of today and then all of tomorrow. All of Sunday to see what I can see.
Sweet. And have you seen anything yet?
I have seen things. Actually,
have you seen things gaming? Hold on. You are in Tokyo.
Let's get specific because I can definitely talk about things I've seen. But gaming wise, actually, yes. Today was a very good retro gaming day because again, my friend Fernie recommended this area in Tokyo called Akihabara.
Okay.
I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but that's what it is. It's known as the Electric City.
Oh, okay. Is that like the time? Like I don't mean to go. I can only compare it to here.
No, it's not. It's not the Times Square.
It's not
another.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not the Times Square of Tokyo. There's another area called that.
Okay.
But this area is called the Electric City. Because a lot of them, it's very lit up,
mm-hmm.
And but the reason why he brought it to my attention is because it's kind of like a gaming hub.
Really? Okay.
For Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, obviously, something I definitely wanted to do. So after dinner, made my way down there with my coworker and my boss because they wanted to come in. You know, I told them I was going. They were like, "All right, we'll come and check it out and everything like that." So went down there for a little bit. Yeah. So basically, it's nerd central. And and I'm not saying that in a derogatory way because I am a fellow nerd. Yep. So you get we took a cab down there and we get over there, and when I say Electric City, I mean like Electric City. So it's like, and I have pictures that I will.
Anthony's showing me. Yeah, Anthony's showing me right now.
Pictures I'll post on Facebook for you guys, but it's just everything is lit up completely, and as you're walking down the street,
wow,
there's just an endless numbers of shops selling figures, like maquettes and DVDs, books, comics, video games, arcades.
Wow.
Yeah, you name it, it's there. So it's like, there are just all these different places, and it's just, store by store by store, and you go down. The first place we wound up going into was actually a maquette store where, of course, they have, wonderful.
Oh, that's a maquette. Okay. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Maquettes are like figures.
Yeah. Big bazunga figures. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then like some of the cool stuff is like, this is something you'll never see in the States, but like Sega.
I've seen that. I forgot where I saw that. I was going to ask you about that in a moment. Okay. A whole big giant Sega store.
There's a whole big Sega building. So I went inside the Sega building. It was 6 floors.
Oh my God.
And it was 4 floors of arcade.
Wow.
Gaming, and then 2 floors of those claw games. The claw prizing.
Wow. I've barely seen 2 in the same building, let alone 2 floors.
Yes. So it was really interesting. And then when you go upstairs to the video game areas, it's like it's set up in a way where it's like it's set up kind of like if you go to Vegas and you see slot machines, they're all like just lined in a row. So they're all lined in a row, and each aisle is the same game. So it's like there are 6. Yeah, so there are 6 Pokemon tournament games in a row.
Okay.
There are 6 Final Fantasy battle games in a row, and so on and so forth. And that's just on every single floor. So I hit a few floors of that just to check it out, and it was really cool. I of course got in trouble because you're not. I didn't know you weren't allowed to take pictures in there.
Oh, so, really?
And I don't know why, because it's not gambling; it's just gaming. So
weird.
So here's I took a picture of like one of those catcher games, and then there was an interesting Final Fantasy. They had like a Final Fantasy rhythm game.
Okay, they were or have or did release that over here, I think, on 3DS.
Yep.
Pokemon.
And a Pokemon tournament game. Wow. So, but they were, like I said, they're kind of all lined up like this. Wow!
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then everybody just sits there and they game.
All right. Hold on, I have to ask you, like, how. Like, did just some, like, guy just come up to you, start yelling, screaming in Japanese? You don't know what was happening?
He wasn't yelling. He just saw me take a picture, and he was just kind of like, he kind of, like, gestured to the camera.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
I said, okay. And I understood. People aren't that, nutty here. So, everybody I've come into contact with, very polite, very helpful, very not New York. So,
how dare you?
So walking up and down the blocks over there, there was obviously one thing I had in mind that was like, I needed to get to a retro game store.
Yeah.
Because I've been wanting, since I first started coming to Japan, I said, I want to get my hands on an original Famicom.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted an original Famicom. If there was anywhere I was going to go and find it, it would be Akihabara. Okay. So there was a store that I went into there. It it was like a 6th-floor store. They had video games on one floor, but it was all new stuff only. So I'm like, okay, that didn't work. Then there was another store, which I looked up on Google Maps and it had pictures of retro games. It was only like a block away from the Sega. Actually, not the Sega building. There's another Sega building like on the next block over called the Sega Club. I have no idea. I did not.
Oh, that I think I've seen.
There.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't go in there, but around the corner from the Sega Club was this other store called Super Potato. So it was called. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Called Super Potato, and big surprise, they're
the giant potato outside
on their sign. There's their mascot's a potato. So it's a cartoon drawn potato. Great. So. Get in an elevator, because everything here is very vertical. It's like, not every store has a first floor. So, so we see the sign for Super Potato, walk down this hallway, get in an elevator. This is me and my 2 coworkers, right?
Okay.
My coworker and my boss.
Yeah.
We get in an elevator. There are 3 of us. That's all you could fit in the elevator. No, not kidding. And none of us are like, we're not gigantic people, but it's just super small elevator. And then we get up to Super Potato and I know it's hysterical.
I laugh every time. So.
But, they had 3 floors in the store.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Look at that.
They're
showing me a sign right now.
Right. And each floor had different systems on it.
That's cool.
So get up there, walk into the 3rd floor, because the 3rd floor was the Famicom floor.
Okay.
So, and then my mouth just dropped open because I see aisles.
Whoa! Look at all
aisles of retro games.
Wow!
And you name it, they had it. Like, they had everything.
Holy cow!
Absolutely everything, and it was just insane.
Good gosh.
So we get there, and then of course, as soon as we walk through the door to go on this floor. It's like 90 degrees in this place. Like they're just blasting heat, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna die here because I'm not good with heat. So not only that, I had my boss and my coworker with me, so I'm like, okay, guys. They're like, are you gonna shop? And I said, yeah, you're gonna have to wait. I'm sorry. So as soon as I walked in, right on the shelves in front of me, Famicom systems, a shelf of Super Famicom systems, and all priced differently. It was very weird because I couldn't figure it out. There were some that were like $60. There were some that were like $90. There were some that were $250, which was weird. And some of the like the more expensive ones came in the original boxes.
Oh, well, okay.
Brand new, used, but they came in the original boxes and had the old RF switch. Because I guess that's what they came with.
Yeah.
So, and not just Famicom and Super Famicom, but like I'm walking down the aisle and I'm looking at a Neo Geo. I'm looking at a Sega Saturn. I'm looking at absolutely everything. They had the Superboy, which is the portable Super Nintendo.
Oh, yes, yep.
They also had the portable Famicom, which I didn't know they made. There was a portable Famicom version where you could put the Famicom cartridges in. Mm-hmm. So, and then the prices for the games, I was really surprised. Like some of them ridiculously inexpensive. So, for example, my goal was Famicom, but I walked down the Super Famicom aisle.
Don't blame me.
And I found Super Mario RPG. Now, Super Mario RPG in the States for Super Nintendo is, I think, like $40 or $50.
At the time? Probably.
No, now.
Oh, now. Oh, yeah, easily.
Now it's like $40 or $50 for the cartridge. The Super Famicom version they had there for like $9.50.
$9.50?
Basically. If I'm converting correctly.
Oh, yeah. Well, these are roundabout numbers.
Right. So, kid in a candy store, I'm sitting there, I'm walking up and down Famicom aisles, and they have games, they have cartridges only, and then they have games that are in their original boxes.
Ooh.
Now, I've never seen a Famicom box, like a box, because I never bought any imports like that. Not in the 80s. I was a kid, so it's just an absolute treat to stand there and look at the original artwork that was on some of these games. And again, some of the ones in the original packaging were going for upwards. If I remember correctly, there was they had a Famicom Castlevania 1 in box, not brand new, but used in box. Yeah. It was $328.
Oh, wow! I mean, it's a good game, but holy cow!
Yeah. But again, you're talking about the Famicom version in its original box.
Yeah, but also you're talking about it in Japan. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, it's a great game. Even here, the U.S. version, I would imagine, would be like $100 or something here in the U.S. But still, wow, that's okay, pricey.
Yeah. So so I spent about a good 30 or 45 minutes in the store going through everything, trying to figure out like what I wanted to buy for myself, because like I'm not necessarily collecting Famicom games. I just wanted to get my hands on a system and a handful of games that maybe had some meaning or value to me.
Yep.
So I did pick up.
Oh, there it is. Look at that.
I picked up my original Famicom system. I now own a Famicom system. Very excited about that.
Wow, look at that bad boy.
Yep, I can't wait to get home and play it.
Yeah.
I know I have a Nintendo Switch waiting for me, but that's going to have to hold for a few minutes.
Don't even get me started on the Switch. Wow. All right, and it does come with the AV.
Yeah, they did include the AV with it, which is great. I did have to buy a
converter
plug.
Oh, okay.
No, the PC power unit.
Gotcha.
That was separate.
That's sweet.
But it's got the controllers hooked in on either side, because it is the original.
Yeah, it looks like something like the Incredible Hulk version of the mini Famicom that we have.
Yeah, it's pretty much a larger version now. I don't know if this is the one that I have in my hands right now. I don't know, people out there who listen to us, if they know a lot about the Famicom. There were two versions of the console. There's this one, which is kind of like an off-color maroon, like beige.
Yeah,
and then there's a white version. So the beige was replaced with a white version, and I think that might have been the newer model.
The white version?
The white one.
I think so too, because I remember always seeing this one, the one you have in your hand, and I always felt like the color was off.
Yeah. So I went with the old version.
Okay.
And there's a little price sticker that was on it.
There you go. In yen. Interesting.
In yen.
Yeah.
So grab that.
Sweet.
Very excited about that.
I don't blame you.
And of course, I can't just buy the system. I need games.
Let's see what we got.
So, of course, I'm buying the original Famicom. What else would I buy aside from the original Super Mario Brothers?
There you go. Nice. Very good. OG Super Mario Brothers. Yep.
The OG Super Mario Bros. Now, I know I have this on the mini Famicom, but come on. I mean, look, this is the original cartridge.
That's it.
It's the original Super Mario Brothers cartridge.
Awesome.
Okay. And by the way, very affordable, too.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, it was about 1380 yen, so whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's roughly probably like $12.50 or $13.
Okay.
So I can live with that.
Yeah.
So another one I purchased. Now, this one's an interesting one because we've talked about this game for on Nintendo, because in the States a sequel was released, but we could never find the original one. Oh. So I know we had talked about this. So I saw it in the store, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to get it because I actually really enjoyed playing the sequel.
Okay.
To this movie franchise game.
Oh,
not franchise, but this movie game. So I got the original Goonies.
Okay. Yes, we talked about that last week, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I picked that up for Famicom
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I've never really played the original one. So now I can play it on the original system, which would be kind of cool.
Nice cover. It's pretty much almost like the movie poster that's on there.
Yeah, it's the movie poster.
And I remember I remember we talked. I didn't realize, like I said, I didn't realize there was a Goonies 1. I always knew about the Goonies 2 game, but I never knew about the Goonies 1 games. That's cool.
Yep. So those were the 2 cartridge-based games that I got. Oh. And again, really good, really affordable. There were a lot of games there I wanted to get my hands on. Like I could have easily maxed the credit card. So then there was another area.
Oh.
That area had just cartridges. Then there was another section that had the games in their boxes.
There we go.
And you know me.
Yep.
I like having games in boxes.
These are games you may not ever play.
even if I never play them, the collector at heart needs boxes. So, and I know this isn't the first, probably not the first release of the game, or games, I should say, but this series holds a special place in my heart. So here is Final Fantasy 1 and 2. I guess it was released as a 2-pack.
Yep.
So, and I have it in the original packaging.
And that's one we talked about last week for This Week in Gaming. That was released sometime a bunch of years ago.
And again, very affordable.
Yeah, look at that. 1780 yen, whatever.
Yeah, so really affordable. Was very happy to get my hands on.
That's a big box. And maybe there's definitely more in there than just a cart.
Well, there are at least 2 carts in here. And
2 carts. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's weighty. So I'm looking forward to opening it and seeing what's exactly in it. Maybe I'll do an unboxing.
Nice, sweet.
I could be lame. So, and then there was so that's like 4 games right there. Yep. So the last game that I picked up, I was mulling over for a while. And my boss actually talked me into buying it.
Oh.
It's funny because she's not a video game person. But she, it was definitely a pricier game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I had told her at this point, I already spent a lot of money on everything else. And she's like, yeah, but you know what? You're in Japan. When are you going to be back here again? They have what you want.
Okay.
Just splurge, get it, enjoy the fact that you have it. So, and if anybody's ever heard me talking on this podcast, I mean, in terms of Nintendo, there's one series I always go back to, one series I'll always love, and I absolutely could not pass up the opportunity to get my hands on the original Legend of Zelda.
There you go. I was waiting for that one.
Packaging.
Wow.
And, in its original packaging, the artwork is beautiful.
It sure is. Holy
It's still in great condition.
Yep. Look at that.
And, like I said, this was the pricey one.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll leave that one.
Yeah, so this was about $60.
That's all right. You know what? Worth it. With that conditioning, worth it.
Yep. It's absolutely beautiful. I really want to open it just to see like the I don't know if the instruction booklet's in here or not, but I definitely want to find out. Because this store, like, they're not like their packaging, their repackaging of this is serious. Like it's sealed.
It looks like it's right off the truck to sell back in 1985 or 86 or whenever it was.
Exactly. So this would be 1986. Yeah. So but I think this may have been a re-release because this was a re-release because it has a copyright date on the back of 92 as well.
Okay, that's all right.
So it's a re-release, but
who cares?
I personally do not care.
Yeah,
I go because my hands are holding the original Legend of Zelda on Famicom.
Yep,
and I honestly couldn't be happier about that.
Good.
And for everybody listening on the podcast, I'm going to be posting a bunch of pictures of these once I get back. Once I get back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe if I have time while I'm here, I'll open these guys up so I can share them with everybody when this podcast drops on Tuesday, which will be my Wednesday. So an extremely successful trip.
Excellent.
And by next week's podcast, I will have part 2 of this discussion because next weekend I'm hitting up a retro game store in Osaka that I found.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
So the journey continues.
It never stops. That's
cool. It never will. It never ever will. So yeah. Good. So that's been day one here in Tokyo. couldn't be happier. I've got my Famicom. I've got my Famicom, and I've got Mario and Zelda. It's just awesome. I'll probably wind up buying a bunch more games next week. So.
I hope you have an international UPS store over there.
Yeah, I know. No, actually, it's funny because I brought a bag with me specifically for this purchase because I knew I was coming home with one. Oh, and strangely enough, the Super Famicom,
mm-hmm.
they had a ton of those systems there. Like the original Famicom ran me about $80 or $85.
Fair enough. Okay.
Right. The Super Famicom is, it was like 30, 28.
That's weird.
Yeah. Maybe they're just, because it's newer, more it's
mm-hmm.
just more common, or they run by it. So I almost bought that one too.
Yeah. That's almost like an eventual, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then I just reminded myself, I'm like, you know what? I can hold on that because I still have to come back a couple more times to Japan.
Yeah.
For work.
Yeah. Right.
So there'll be other opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Might as well be smart about it.
Yeah. But and I definitely will go back to Super Potato.
That's if you're in Tokyo, go to Super Potato.
Go to Super Potato and Akihabara, and and just pick yourself up some awesome retro games. I'm really it was just really awesome, and I didn't even get to the other floors.
You just stayed on that one floor?
I just stayed on that one floor. I had spent so much. Well, I had felt really badly because my boss and my coworkers and they're walking around. Now they have no interest in video games, so they're just standing around waiting for me, waiting for me to buy stuff. And I'm literally going through the shelves looking at every single game. Oh, by the way, Rockman, also known as Mega Man.
Yep.
They had all of them.
Really? Nice.
Rockman 1 through 6. They had some of them in the original boxes. Those were over $100.
I can imagine.
But the actual Rockman for Famicom, some of them were only like 20-something bucks.
Okay, I can see that. In Japan, I can see that. Yeah.
Which isn't bad. My one regret though was I did not grab Tetris. They had Tetris in the box for like $7.
Wow.
Which I thought was weird. I was like, wow, that's inexpensive.
Yeah, that's cheap.
But at that point, like after I grabbed Zelda, I'm like, okay, no more.
Yeah, I'm done. Done ski.
That was expensive. So, so that is my retro game recap for Tokyo.
Cool. Listen, you made out like a bandit, and this is only week 1, like you said. So, quite impressive. That's cool stuff.
I'll also feel a lot better once I convert the amount of money that I spent. Because
I know you won't.
Because I know it's actually less.
Oh, okay. Oh, then all right.
Yeah.
Then you'll feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. Well, then I'll go on a shopping spree at the next store.
Careful that international surcharge sometimes they throw on there.
Nope. I've got a credit card that does not charge me.
Nice. The man thought ahead, specifically for Legend of Zelda.
Oh yeah, I plan. I always plan.
Awesome. You had your thing there in Japan, which you trust me, you made out, like I said, like a bandit. You did tremendous. I had my own night of gaming, if you will, which also included a Famicom, kind of, sort of. And I think you saw you popped on there for a few moments. I did. Yep. Representing the retro gamers, I was at the retro video game night at the Cradle of Aviation Museum out here on Long Island in Garden City, New York. The night.
So what is the Cradle of Aviation Museum?
It's basically it's on the campus. We're gonna get a little local here. It's on the campus of Nassau Community College. And in Garden, an offshoot of Nassau. Basically, it's more of an aviation museum. You walk in, there's a giant I'm just trying to put it in order. Like space exploration. They had I think they had a Navy Blue Angel replica airplane, jet plane. So it's mostly aviation. It's mostly, I think it's mostly space exploration, to be honest with you. But they have like a replica of like some of the old timey planes, not necessarily the right plane, but stuff like that. So it's an aviation museum. It's an airplane museum. But last year, for a limited run, someone, they put together this exhibition. Thank you. Of retro gaming. They collected arcades, systems, and just put them all together, hooked up televisions, and you can go in for a fee and just play. So that was last year. In 2017, this thing is up pretty much every day, Tuesday through Sunday, at the Cradle of Aviation Museum. Once it's in, it's like $25 to go in the first time, and then $10 thereafter. And once you're in, everything's free to play. The arcade machines, which we'll get into, the home consoles.
That's really awesome.
And it's great. And it's not huge. Don't get me wrong. It's not massive. It's like a wing of a top floor of the building. But just you walk in, and just when you hear it, I'm going to show you in a second a couple of photos, which I'm going to post on the page here a little bit later this week, and they'll post like around the podcast. When you hear the noise, when you walk in, you probably did it. When you walked into an arcade and you just hear the noise of the games, you kind of get like that. I'm in the right place.
I just did that a couple hours ago.
So we get there, and also I'd like to thank my the honorary retro gamer of the night, my friend Glenn, who helped out with doing some of the filming and everything. So Glenn, we're greatly appreciated for filling in, if you will, while Anthony was on location as well.
Thank you, Glenn.
So we get to the Cradle of Aviation Museum, and the stairs will go up, and you're heading in the right direction when the stairs are outlined with Pac-Man.
Nice.
Going up the stairs.
Is that Blinky?
That was Blinky, yes. And
nice.
And of course, once you get in there, you hit with just machines. And it's
beautiful.
In chronological order. I'm showing Anthony a video right
even
now.
Cooler. That is the finest of OCD.
Oh, it is. And when we're talking chronological, we're talking the original Pong machine.
Wow.
The forms showing there you see right now are for, I'm talking to Ant just because he sees it, 4 home Pong machines.
Wow.
Because back then, the entire machine was dedicated to one game.
Yep, that is what it took. That's what it took to run a game.
Yep. So those were 4 Pong machines. And then it just moved on from there. There was a Super Breakout arcade, Space Invaders arcade. Then we moved over to ColecoVision and Television, Ataris, where you were able to play Donkey Kong, Missile Command, which also had an arcade. Which we touched on for a minute before we started recording, which I never played before, a Vectrex system.
Yep.
And
Vectrex, yep.
For a system that came out in the early 80s, this thing ran so smoothly. It ran smoother than some of the games today. I mean, it's just all it is lines. You know what I mean? It's almost like playing Tempest all the time.
Yeah, and it's a very small system.
Very small system.
It kind of just sits. I remember a friend of mine had it, and you would just put it on your dining room table or whatever, and it was just a small handheld thing. Not handheld, but it was just a small little machine. Some of the games actually you had to put a plastic this plastic sheet on the screen.
Kind of gives it graphics, if you will.
Yeah, and those were the graphics for the game.
Yeah, so we played that. There was a wall of some vintage stuff there. I'm going to zoom in a second.
I see it. Very nice. Very nice.
So the original issue 1
of
Nintendo Power had some old school games. This wall was kind of like just showing how games looked as time went on and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff in package. Nothing to buy. There was nothing. No purchasing. No game purchasing.
No, it's just all playing.
Yeah. A couple of black box NES games. Golf.
Love it.
Yep. Famicom, Super Mario Brothers, as you now know. Yep. So,
I own it.
The Power Pad.
Yeah, which reminds me for a tangent. If there's anything you want while I'm here.
Well, my birthday is at the end of the month. Just saying.
Well, that doesn't help me.
As much as I want gaming, you're also in Tokyo, so there's probably some stuff from New Japan that I'm interested in, but we'll get into that later. All right. So you walk in and you got all these machines. You got this guy went out and found like old school like televisions to plug the thing. I mean, we are talking retro and 80s as could be. Before you get to the 80s, you're still in the 70s. And when you get into the corner of the room, I'm trying to find a picture for Ann. Of course, this will all be online anyway. He set up, and forgive me because I'm going to get very embarrassed. I forgot the gentleman's name who curated this whole thing. But when you get into the corner of this display, there's a giant remember like those giant televisions that like it's like as big as your entertainment center at home?
Yes.
Okay, so he had one of those with like these bucket seats playing E.T.
Oh, good Lord.
And you just sat there and you played E.T. on this giant old school, like almost like a cathode ray tube television.
Did you play it?
I did not. Glenn did. I got some video of Glenn playing it.
Okay.
I was more enthralled. Like I could have played everything. I could have spent hours there playing everything, but I kind of wanted to get the feel and the atmosphere. I did play some stuff, which I'll get into in a moment. Then what it does is it continues to go chronologically. Then we get to the NES, and the way that this guy had it set up on the wall, I'm just fishing for the pictures here. It was like a painting, a mural of the castle from Super Mario Brothers on the wall, and then it had about 6 or 7 different games.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just walk up and play. It's funny, he had Mega Man displayed, but it was actually Rockman, but it was also an NES, so I got very confused on that one.
Oh, really?
But he had set up on the wall was Super Mario Brothers, which was running on the Famicom, and that I'll be back to this thing. It's up all year. I'm going to be back because I've never actually played a Famicom. So
I have one if you want to.
We will definitely check that out next time in LA. Duck Hunt, which was actually there was a line for Duck Hunt. A lot of people playing that one.
Wow. People just want to shoot it, huh?
Honestly, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Mega Man.
Which I just saw in the store here for Famicom.
Oh, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Oh, no, Punch-Out, regular Punch-Out.
No. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for
They did
Famicom.
make a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Oh, wow.
They did.
Mega Man, Castlevania, and then Super Mario Brothers 3. So that was on the wall there. Then it just goes, like I said, chronological. Then you walk in. Then it's all Sega Genesis. Sega Genesis systems. Sega CD. TurboGrafx 16. I'm going out of order. Jaguar. Sega Saturn, which I've never played before. I played for the first time when I was there. I don't know what the game was, but played that. Ton of PlayStation games set up. Arcades. I never knew they made a Michael Jackson Moonwalker arcade game.
Yes, they did.
That was there.
Yep.
Spy Hunter arcade game. Double Dragon. These are arcades. Yep. Double Dragon. Tetris. Yep. I got my hands on Ms. Pac-Man. And as far as I know, I was there.
And how did you do?
I was there for an hour and a half, and when I left, my high score of the night, 107,000, which is not my personal best, but it was the high score for the moment. Was still holding strong when I left.
Nice.
So, and then when you get back further into the room, there was Neo Geo, our home console.
Oh, yes, the Neo Geo
console. I forgot how big the carts were. The carts were like size.
The system was huge, too.
System was huge. If you compare it to an iPhone 7, the carts were like 2 iPhone 7s on top of each other. And what felt like 3 of them side to side, which is why
because each cartridge carried 4 games.
No. Each game was in itself, but I think because it was arcade like graphics. Remember those carts were like $300 each.
Yeah, because there were 4 games in them.
So,
because the Neo Geo arcades had 4 games in them,
that is correct.
And they ported it that way to the home console, and that's why it was so expensive.
What else did they have that I played for the first time? TurboGrafx CD, I never played before. Yep. Had that there. They had all the way in the back of this hallway, they had like a couch set up, almost looked like a living room, and they had Darkstalkers. I'm trying to think of the name of the game.
Yeah, that's a game.
Yeah, it was a fighting game, but it was like Dracula and but it was like cartoony. It's like a female Dracula. And all. So it had that set up. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast. There was like mini, like unofficial tournaments happening.
Oh, that's so cool. Love that game.
They had, I'm trying to think what else, because we're big fans. WWF Superstars arcade machine was there. Multiple Mortal Kombats, GoldenEye. I mean, I can just go on, and
wow.
it's one of these things where like because I didn't buy anything, so I mean, but like to be there, just to feel that like for one moment you feel like you're in an arcade, then you feel like you're at home, then you're bouncing back and forth, and to see all age groups. There were people there older than me. There were people there our age, young kids, all playing these games, and it was. I'm trying to think. The most recent one was Dreamcast. That was the most recent system they had set up. Was Dreamcast. Okay. It really, I mean, it brought me back, especially when I saw the setup, like the couch setup. It really brought me back, and it was such a blast. I definitely recommend it if you're on Long Island. It's not expensive to go, and you're supporting a museum as well. And I'm trying to think if there was any other game. Oh, I think you had just missed this with the feed, because I did point it out for you specifically. They also had things set up. They had Rob the Robot in a case. They had the Power Glove. Yep, they had the Power Glove, in a case. They showed some other thing. Like, do you remember the wireless controller for the Atari?
No, I don't.
They had that, showing that. 3D glasses for the Sega Master System.
Nope.
In a display. You weren't able to use them. They're in a display.
Wow.
Some wacky controllers, like stuff you don't see every day, especially back then. And, of course, my favorite, and yours as well.
Oh, that thing.
A Virtual Boy was set up with Mario Tennis.
The bane of video games existence.
It was in the same case as Rob the Robot and the Power Glove. The
Virtual Boy is the console failure version that of ET. It
should have been set up on top of the ET television.
Exactly.
So this is the Power Glove, and it came with a game. I don't remember this game. And I had the Power Glove.
Ball, right?
Glove Ball. Super Glove Ball.
Yep, Super Glove Ball.
Was it packed in? Because I don't remember this game.
Yeah, because I don't know if it was packed in or not, but the whole thing was like you would have like a hand on the screen, and you would use the Power Glove to move the hand around the screen so you can hit the ball. It was almost like playing handball, basically, for Nintendo.
Is an Atari 7800 that was on display.
Very nice, very nice.
The Sega Master System light gun.
Yeah, Sega Master System is another one that I need to get my hands on because I did not have it as a child.
No, neither have I.
Yeah, so I definitely want to get my hands on that one. Oh, those are beautiful.
Pulp is these arcade machines.
Just showing me the arcade cabinets. Yep. Love them.
Let me show you the hallway. Oh, here, let me show you. These are the Pong. You can follow along on the webpage. These will be up by the time you're listening.
The Odyssey.
No, that's not the Odyssey. That's Pong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but look underneath it. It says Odyssey.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wrong photo. That is the Odyssey, yes.
Yes, that is the Odyssey.
Here's a dedicated Pong system.
Yes, that is the Pong system.
And so, no, that's the same as that one. So is that, well, that's not Pong dedicated, but little wacky controllers on that one. And then, of course, another dedicated Pong system.
Just sounds, I mean, next time I'm in New York.
Oh, we're definitely hitting this up.
We definitely need to hit it up, and we'll do another podcast with the two of us.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that's how I had it set up. Yeah,
the 32X. There you go. I actually saw the Sega Mega CD for the first time.
Really?
At Super Potato.
Okay.
So
I forgot there was a Mega CD.
There was a Mega CD, and I was tempted. Wow. But I did not purchase it. I had spent enough money on my Famicom. Very nice.
So definitely this thing expedition. Nope. What's it called? Exhibition.
Exhibition.
It was like an expedition, to be honest with you. It was like I was going and visiting stuff for the first time.
It just makes me sad that you're a grown adult who can't say the word exhibition.
No, I can't. The IntelliVoice.
Yep.
For Intellivision. And then in the back of the room was also a tabletop. Like, if you remember, like back in the day in the bars, they had like it was a table. It was an arcade machine, but it was a table. It wasn't vertical. It was horizontal. And when I saw it, I thought it was Pac-Man or maybe Ms. Pac-Man, even Donkey Kong. It was Popeye.
Yep.
And now, if anyone knows me, I'm a huge Popeye fan. My very first word on this planet was Popeye. And
did you have a thing for spinach or olive oil?
No. It's funny. I never did like spinach actually growing up. Though I think I did try and eat it raw once, and my mother quickly corrected me on that. So, but when I saw the Popeye,
you can eat spinach raw.
But back then, you never knew what was going on.
Just not out of a can.
That's what I tried doing because Popeye eats out of a can.
Oh God!
I would squeeze everyone.
Sad human being.
That's probably how I had a hernia at like 7. But so there was the Popeye machine, and I definitely got my hands on that, playing that. It was just nostalgia through and through.
Popeye was definitely one of those games. Actually, it's funny because when I was a kid, I remember my mom loved playing Popeye on my Nintendo, and I don't know why. It was very strange because my mom wasn't exactly a gamer, but there were like 2 or 3 games that I very fondly remember her playing. One was Popeye, one was Asteroids for Atari.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Tetris.
So real quick, speaking of Asteroids, there was a little bit on the video as well. There's 2 video live feeds that are on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast that I did. On the second feed, I think it was. There was an Asteroids arcade machine, and there was a guy playing there. I mean, he was serious as could be playing this game. I've never seen anyone strategically play Asteroids like this guy was playing Asteroids. It was wild.
And how did he do?
I didn't stay too long because then he kind of shot me a look when I was filming over his shoulder, so I decided to move on.
Oh, nice.
And then one more shout out real quick. Glenn, again, who helped me tremendously that day. He was playing a lot of games. He was playing Moonwalker, but he was also playing Mario Brothers, the arcade. And I hate Mario Brothers, the original, because
the original one.
It's just the physics, in my opinion, were terrible. I hate that. It always feels like you're on ice.
Yes.
But for what it's worth, he is tremendous at this game. He got through levels, like by the time he's getting to the end, and then, because it's free, I think you don't really play the games all the way through, because you can just kind of pick up and leave and do what you need to do. So, but he got to like level like 7 or 8 without losing a life, which I've never really seen before. And then we kind of lost steam and then moved on.
Well, that's because, you kind of suck at gaming. Even though, you game all the time, you lose a lot.
Not really. I just don't really complete games. Doesn't necessarily mean I lose.
Which means you lose a lot.
Do you know how much stuff I have on memory cards I just forgotten about?
Yeah. Just a bunch of incompleted games. That's all. It's all incomplete.
But yeah, that was a retro gaming, and that's going to be with the visual. Check out again the website with the live feeds and the pictures I'll put up as well.
And circling back to your tabletop game, Popeye, which I remember having on my original NES. Of course, like I said, my mom loved playing it. Actually, and Devil Dice was the other game for PlayStation 1 that my mom loved to play, which is interesting. But anyway, for Popeye, I just I know you talk. I did see some stuff about the exhibition that you went to, and I thought I would select a game from there to do this week's Retro Spotlight. Ooh. And Popeye was the one that I chose.
All right.
So let's segue.
Ironic.
Yeah, let's segue while we can segue.
I'm gonna buy a Segway.
I know we're gonna. Well, you go do that. You go waste money, just so you can't walk. So this week's Retro Spotlight is on the game Popeye.
Nice.
So, for those of you who do not know this game, it was originally released in 1983.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. originally released in 1983, and as you pointed out, it was an arcade. It was actually licensed by Atari, so Atari licensed the Popeye brand in order to create it, and it was actually one of the first 3 games released on the Famicom.
Really?
Yep, because the Famicom. The Famicom actually came around in 1983. Super Mario Brothers did not come out until 1985, I believe.
Yeah, because it was 86 here.
Yep, it was definitely 85 because that's what my little cartridge says. So anyway, so July 15th, 1983, Popeye was actually one of 3 games released on the Famicom, along with Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. Now, if you think about it, or if you know these 3 games, you'll find that they're very similar to each other because they have the same level aspect to them. So I guess it makes sense that these 3 games came out in tandem because they had probably a similar base in their code.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're both one-screen levels.
Exactly.
All 3 of them, I should say.
And the whole idea was you're basically going up to the next level, up to the next level, up and down you go. And the interesting thing, so just there's not a whole lot of information on Popeye. I guess it wasn't as interesting, especially since the game is 34 years old. But anyway, so the Popeye characters actually, when they were licensed, were originally going to be used in the game that became Donkey Kong. So Donkey Kong was originally supposed to be Popeye.
Wow.
But then it became Donkey Kong.
Interesting.
Because while they were developing the game, Nintendo didn't get the license to the Popeye characters in time.
Mm-hmm.
So Donkey Kong, which has of course become a classic game, and subject of a documentary about the high score and all that stuff.
Debut of Mario.
Yeah, so can you imagine the history of that game had it been Popeye? Because it was originally supposed to be Popeye.
That's wild.
Yeah. So just a couple of other things about the Popeye game is that on the Famicom only, it actually saw a sequel. And it was an educational sequel.
Oh, boo.
Which is interesting. And it was actually it was a Popeye game that taught you how to speak English.
That's ironic.
Well, no, I know, considering he's Popeye, but,
exactly.
Right. But again, if you think about the code and the layout of the game, and if you go into the Donkey Kong franchise, you might remember a game called Donkey Kong Jr. Math.
Yes, which actually had.
Donkey Kong Jr. taught you math.
Yeah.
Well, conveniently enough, Popeye, which was supposed to be the Donkey Kong game, came out with an English teaching game similar to Donkey Kong Jr. Math. So the Popeye, the 8-bit Popeye franchise is really tied in to the Donkey Kong franchise.
I realize that. Holy cow.
The current world record for the original Popeye game is held by Ben Falls with a score of over 3 million, which he did in 2011.
Oh, recently too. All right, Ben, congratulations.
Yeah, so somebody played that game for a very, very, very long time. and I might also add saved Olive Oyl probably way more times than she deserved.
Oh, poor Olive Oyl.
Yep. And then in terms of that, now you played the tabletop version of the game, and I've talked about basically the NES version of the game, but this game actually was ported on a lot of systems. Popeye was released on the Commodore 64, on the Atari 8-bit, on the Intellivision, Atari 2600, Atari 5200, ColecoVision.
Been all over the place.
The TRS-80 color computer.
Sure.
It was actually one of the very few games ported to the Odyssey.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It actually existed on the Odyssey.
What could that
and
look like?
the game was, was popular enough that Parker Brothers actually released a board game version of it in 1983
I think
as well.
I had it. I think I had that.
And I owned it as well. And it was exactly the same.
It was
as the game. It had the music notes that you needed to catch and the hearts you needed to catch.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, it was the same exact game.
Oh, I forgot about that board game. Holy cow. It's a retro spotlight thing, man. I've been learning some stuff from my childhood. I like this.
Good. I enjoy teaching you because you need to learn a few things. So that concludes this week's Retro Spotlight.
There you go. Real quick, I just want to circle back real fast, and that was awesome. Popeye, and fun fact as well. I think Popeye was one of the original black box NES games as well, which is kind of weird because there weren't any licensed black box games really. So
no, Popeye was probably one of the only licensed black box games way back when.
Real quick before I forget, and it would do an injustice. Just going back to what I did with the Cradle, with the Retro Video Game Night, I do want to thank, actually, Anthony and I both want to thank Cradle of Aviation in Garden City, New York, and especially Rod, who helped get us involved with it. So thank you very much, Rod. Thank you very much, Cradle of Aviation, and everyone who was there as well, who supporting us and hopefully following us now. So good stuff.
Yes, thank you very much, Cradle of Aviation. I'm sorry I couldn't be there because I'm halfway around the world. But I promise you, when I am in your time zone, I will visit.
Good, excellent. We'll certainly do that. All right, cool. Yeah, Spotlight, Popeye, sweet. So, some sad news as this week.
Yes, usually when we start, before you get into your sad news, and I think it's related to what I'm about to say anyway, but when we start our podcast, usually one of the first things we do is we check in on some video game progress, or I should say some retro game progress. Everybody knows that you've been playing Castlevania 2 because you've been playing it live online.
Yes.
However, even though I'm in Japan, I noticed that there was no live feed this week of Castlevania 2.
Yeah, no, not this week. And I said it wasn't going to be necessarily every week. I will when I can. But this week, I there was no Castlevania 2. I haven't touched the game yet. Don't worry, I'm only going to play when I'm live.
Yes, but I heard a rumor that there was a specific reason why it didn't happen.
Yeah, there was. And Amazon right now is the bane of my existence. So,
and what did Amazon do to you?
The reason why, because Friday, waiting for the Nintendo Switch. So I figure, you know what? I'm going to be preoccupied with the Nintendo Switch. There will be no Castlevania 2. I was going to do an unboxing of the Nintendo Switch. Maybe even get some gameplay of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So Amazon delivered Breath of the Wild, which I have on the other side of the room. Actually, let me go. Give me 2 seconds.
Well, and just so you know, I also have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is in Burbank as we speak at my friend's house because I knew I wasn't going to be in town for it. That is a beautiful cover.
Hold on, check this out.
I knew I wasn't going to be in town for it, so I had it shipped to my friend's house.
So I had it shipped to my house, which was I ordered it in January. That morning when it went on pre-sale, I ordered it, and then I waited till 8 o'clock at night, and I still didn't get a notice that the system was delivered. I got Zelda, but no system. And then I go online, I think it was GameSpot, who reported that Amazon was not shipping the systems, and a lot of people were not getting their because there was some sort of error or glitch in the shipping system.
No, you poor thing.
So that's why, because I was waiting for the mailman to show up with my Nintendo Switch. A little fun thing was showing. Look how small the game is.
Yeah,
it is tiny.
Yep.
Also, as I did on my Facebook page, the cartridge does not taste good either.
The cartridge does not taste good?
No, there's a thing online. Nintendo put a bittering agent on all the games, so kids, because you can swallow that. So kids don't swallow it when they put it in their mouth. It's so bitter and it tastes disgusting. They spit it out.
They think of everything.
So, of course,
And just to circle back about the game being so small, I mean, the reason why games can be that small now is that, it looks like it's about the size of an SD card. And you can buy SD cards that are like 200-something gigs.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, so it's completely plausible to put...
It's just odd to see a game. You know what I mean? Like afterward, I mean, the last cart-based system was N64, and those carts.
Well,
so.
welcome to the future.
So
I actually honestly think you're going to see discs go away in lieu of like SD card size games because you can fit so much on them.
I thought it was going to go the way of digital, to be honest with you, but the carts, they work as well.
I'll always be a cartridge guy.
So that's it. That's the reason I was waiting for the Switch. So I go on with Amazon. Long story short, I argue with them. I get a promotional credit because they inconvenienced me. And then lo and behold, I got an email. Hey, your system will be delivered tomorrow, meaning today. So
did your system show up today?
No, not yet, because it's not even 8:30 in the morning yet.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's pitch black outside. It's bedtime over here. So. I will say that my Nintendo Switch, I know we're retro gamers, but my Nintendo Switch is waiting. Yeah. My Nintendo Switch is waiting at my friend's house because he did 2 pre-orders accidentally and was kind enough to let me take one of those.
Did you get the gray controllers, Joy-Con controllers? You got the colored Joy-Con controllers?
I have no idea. I'll find out when I get home.
Alrighty. Well, if you order one of each, you're probably getting the gray one.
I have my system at one house in Orange County. And then I have my games in Burbank.
There you go. And Zelda, just real quick, and then we'll move on, has been getting tremendous positive reviews.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best games in a long time. Yeah, so did GameSpot. So.
Yeah, no, not only can I not wait to get my hands on Zelda, but the prospect of taking that Switch with me on my 10 and 12-hour flights.
That's right, yep.
Is going to be a beautiful
Awesome. So thanks, Amazon, for ruining Castlevania 2.
Haha, thank you, Amazon.
By the way, shop Amazon. So let's get ready to wrap this up. What do we have this week in gaming, Ant? I know you're in Japan, but you got to do your job.
Yes, but yeah, I know I got to do my job because I do it so much better than you do. So our other segment that we always seem to touch on this week in gaming, and not a ridiculously monumental this week in gaming, but a few notable ones to pull out.
Okay.
I'm just gonna flip through the list, starting with with NES. We had Super Load Runner was released in Japan.
Great
this
game.
week in 1987. Also released this week in 1987, a game that I always found absolutely obnoxious, but I could not stop playing it because I wanted to beat the stupid game. It was Mickey Mousecapade.
Oh, that came out this week? Oh, I love that game.
Yeah, it came out this week in 1987 in Japan. Again, A lot of the releases I'm going to be talking about are in Japan because I'm in Japan. so why not? But if you remember that game, there used to be after every so often you were walking around with Minnie Mouse right behind you, and the two of you walked together, and there was a bird that would come down and steal Minnie Mouse, and if the bird stole Minnie Mouse, you automatically died, and it was the stupidest thing ever. And I absolutely hated it because that game was really, really hard.
Oh man,
harder than it should have been. But anyway, I digress. Okay, this week in gaming in 1988, on the Sega Master System. Again, in Japan, Alex Kidd was released.
Wow, this is a
Alex
good week.
Kidd, The Lost Stars in 1988.
Wow, all right.
Yeah. There are a couple of surprises on here that in terms of years that things were released. So, and I will, I'll share as much as I can on those. So moving at, let's see, are we still in the 80s? I'm just flipping through my 80s here. Nope, we're gonna move on to the 90s.
Okay.
And here's an interesting one. In 1990, Bubble Bobble was released on the Sharp X68000.
Never heard of it.
Japan.
Oh,
never heard of it either. It might have been. I didn't have time to research it, so it may have been a Japanese specific console. But Bubble Bobble on the Sharp X68000. If any of you out there know what that is,
honestly,
please let us know.
I can take a picture of it.
Exactly. Just find it. Let us know. We'll be happy. We like knowing stuff. In 1992, Adventure Island 2 came out on Game Boy.
Nice.
In Japan.
Excellent.
I don't know if anybody remember that one.
Yeah, man.
And then now this is interesting. 1993. Now Super Nintendo at that point had been out for at least 2 years, but Bubble Bobble Part 2 was released on the original NES in 1993 in Japan.
Okay, I feel like I've seen that.
Yeah, it seems kind of late though.
Yeah, I guess you're just taking advantage of the graphics at that point.
Exactly. At the same time, also released in 1993, and you brought this up earlier, this system earlier, on Neo Geo, Fatal Fury 2.
Ooh, nice.
If you remember that game.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually a fun game.
It was.
Not something to pay $300 for, but fun nonetheless. Moving on to 1994, I'm going to bring this up because our guest, Frank, from a couple of weeks ago, this is one of his favorite games. Echo the Dolphin was released on Game Gear.
So many echoes.
Yes, Echo the Dolphin on Game Gear in Japan, 1994. Moving on to the Sega Saturn, I will say this is a very diverse list this year. So for this week in gaming, in 1995 on the Sega Saturn, Panzer Dragoon.
Ooh, all right.
I don't know if anybody remembers that. There was actually an excellent version of the game on PlayStation, if I'm not correct.
Yep.
PlayStation or Dreamcast. So, but it was released on Sega Saturn originally, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, going to, let's see, we're still in the 90s, and we're gonna jump our way down to 1998. We're gonna do N64, okay. Yoshi's Story.
Ooh, nice.
Yoshi's Story.
Great game.
Okay. I personally never played that one. So, and then a year later in 1999, South Park was released.
That first one?
Yeah, the first one,
which was a rough one.
Which was a first-person game.
Yep.
Which I found kind of obnoxious and annoying. But also in the, I forgot to write down the year for this, but it bears mentioning that PlayStation 1 in Japan, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was released. And that was arguably the best Tony Hawk game of the bunch. Yeah. I played that. I remember playing that game nonstop on Dreamcast.
Oh, the game was phenomenal.
Yeah, loved that game. Really awesome. Jumping into the new millennium in 2000 on Dreamcast, we had Choo Choo Rocket.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
We have a friend Anthony who I'm sure is related to that game. And then on PlayStation 2 also. Okay. On little inside joke there, people. And then on PlayStation 2 in 2000, I don't know if you remember the game Fantavision.
Sounds familiar, but no, I don't remember it.
Fantavision was basically what the precursor of Rock Band and Guitar Hero was.
Oh, okay.
So it was a game where you had you used your controller, your PlayStation controller, but the screen would have notes coming down like the way on Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and you had the different instruments. And what you would do is you would cycle between the instruments and press the buttons so you can get the music to play.
Frequency and amplitude on PS2.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of frequency. Fantavision is something different. Never mind.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Well, no, we can leave mistakes. You know what? You bought a Virtual Boy, which is a life mistake. I made a mistake on that one. We can get past it. Now, at the end of the Nintendo 64, this game came out. I still own it. I've yet to really play through it. Conker's Bad Fur Day on N64 came out this week in 2001.
There you go. That was a game changer.
Yes, it was, because it was an adult game released on an N64, which at the point was at that time was unheard of.
Not only that, but the game itself was originally not an adult game.
Yeah,
Conker is from a kid's game. Yeah,
they made it an adult game, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
So kudos. And then we're gonna jump 2002 on Xbox. We had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Oh, okay.
Which was also a solid game, even though the second one was probably the best one.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I think so. And then I'm going to jump to 2005 for PlayStation 2 in Japan, Mega Man X8.
Oh, sweet. The last on the consoles before they went 9 and 10 came out, on Virtual Console. Wow.
And then I'm just going to circle back to the last one that I saved because it was by far the best. Oh, I'm sorry. There were two that I skipped over for a reason. One was Super Nintendo 1995 Chrono Trigger was released in Japan.
Oh, big one.
Now,
all right.
Chrono Trigger, if you haven't played that game, you're doing yourself a disservice as a gamer or as a retro gamer, current gamer, whatever. Chrono Trigger, probably one of the best RPGs out there, period.
Agreed.
By far. And then, speaking of RPGs, the other one to put on that was probably a highlight on this list that was released on Super Nintendo as well, Super Mario RPG in 1996.
Oh, I love that game.
Love that game too. And like I said, I saw it in the store today. I almost bought it, but I would have had to buy a whole new system to buy it. And then on top of that, I don't know about – I mean, I bought Final Fantasy 1 and 2 for Famicom, which is great. I'm never going to be able to play them because I can't read it.
That's true.
The same thing would apply for Super Mario RPG.
That is true.
On the Super Famicom.
Yep.
Wouldn't be able to read it. As great as it would be.
Oh, well.
And that is this week in gaming.
Oh, very nice, Ant. Well, all right, cool. Tremendous trip for you to Japan. Great games. Can't wait to see those on the page as well for everyone to see the games that you purchased. And that gorgeous system. System was beautiful.
I can't wait to show them.
Yeah.
I can't wait to buy more. I can't wait to see the balance in my bank account.
The bank is going to love you. So
credit cards for me.
Yeah, too. All right, cool. We both had fulfilling weeks, so not too shabby.
You know, that exhibition sounds awesome, and based on your recap and your live feed, the 10 seconds I saw of it, it looked like it was great, and I'm glad you had a good time.
Even bought, as I'm wrapping up here, I bought a little cup here, which is actually a color changing cup. When you put cold liquid in here, it changes. It's like a lime green right now. It changes to a dark green, so I don't know if I want to drink out of it. But,
well, that is super fancy.
From the arcade to the living room, a video game retrospective, 1972 to 1999. That's pretty much what I went to. It has a couple controllers on it. Pretty cool.
That's really cool. Not to be competitive at all, but I think my purchases were better.
Yeah, but mine was only $1. U.S.
Well, touche.
All right, folks. Remember, follow us on the Facebook page. Subscribe, like, share it to everyone. Let everyone know. Thank you for downloading this week. Listen to Retro Gamers, and we'll catch you next week. Ant, have a safe trip back home and enjoy the rest of Japan.
And you, sayonara.
See you later.